welcome to session 2 of our Shards of Light and Shadow session. We have 4 brave heroes joining us today, eager to explore the lands of Shard, the western portion of the continent, only fairly recently, within the last 50 or so years, liberated from being under the boot heel of the Dark Orc Empire that now still squats in the east like some cannibalistic figure ever eager to stretch out its taloned claws and reclaim the land for itself. However, there are some brave few, who choose to stand in its way, and I'm going to ask 4 of these people to introduce themselves now. So, Oren, if you can please introduce yourself.
So, I'll be playing Oren Rundar, an aged but fanciful gnome who spent his youth reading stories of heroes and damsels in distress, and eventually settled down to take up his father's craft of brewing. But just after his 310th birthday, he decided that wasn't the life that he wanted to... Well, he'd already lived it. It wasn't the life he wanted to die. So he has since accessed a few things from his collection of artifacts and has set about to champion the people and the light, or at least go out a hero and die trying.
Thank you very much, Oren. We now turn to a somewhat darker figure. Salo, can you please introduce yourself?
Hello, I am Alex. I'm playing Salo. Salo is a dark elf who is more or less the result of a ritual that's gone horribly wrong. He has a haunted, dark look to his eyes of someone who has seen things that mortals should not perceive. He is a very agile and powerful swordsman, and is often seen wandering the lands, seeking out the knowledge of the light and the dark shards. As embedded in his sword arm are pieces of a dark crystal that exploded during the ritual. He is seeking to either control their powers or remove them safely.
And I'm sure we will find out more about the ritual and the dark shards as the adventures continue. But for now, thank you very much, Salo. We move on to Loku, the half-orc.
Hello, I am Afro Dave. I am playing Loku. He is an half-orc from a small little village. He was born with his twin brother. They were called Shrad and Lith, which is the half-orc words for shadow and light. They were competitive as they grew up, but Shrad was a lot more stronger than Lith, and Lith was always wanted to be kind of better than his brother. When they were sent out, when they came of age to prove themselves for the village, Lith was tricked by a demon toy to do a small ritual in his village to gain more strength to beat his brother. When they went out on their little mission, Lith defeated his hellhound and also defeated his own brother's hellhound. At that point they realised, with screams and terror coming from the village, that something had gone horribly wrong. And Lith realised what he had done, and Shrad also realised attacking Lith and throwing him off a cliff, killing him, or apparently killing him. Shrad, with the rage, went back to the village, and we don't know what happened to him. And Lith was basically not dead, but unconscious, and kind of went down the river of Estamir towards the town of Liberty, and renamed himself Loku to hide his identity and what he did, and is now on a redemption quest.
Thank you very much, Loku, and we will no doubt hear more of your quest for redemption, and perhaps the fate of your brother as the game continues. But now, finally, last but by no means least, we turn to a much smaller, slighter figure, nimble of hand and quick of tongue. Vala Silvertongue, can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Clay. I'm playing Valor Silvertongue, the Lightfoot Halfling. He's got blood red hair, green eyes. He's been raised on the streets of the town that we are in. He believes in balance above all else. For every good action and evil action must happen, and that he is there to collect the scales. So if you're bad, he'll help you be good. If you're good, he'll help you be bad. If you kill someone, he believes that someone must be born in their place. So he's all about balance. And he's well articulated in the tongue.
Splendid, thank you very much. So, we begin our session with our 4 heroes on the road. To the north of the town of Liberty lie many dark woods and the ruins of much of the once great town of Liberty, although it previously went by a different name under the Orc occupation. With great sacrifice, the free people, the Hin or Halflings, as some call them, the Dwarves, the Humans, some of the Half-Orcs, and the Gnomes were able to unite to throw off the shackles of the Dark Orc Empire's oppression. And this started a movement which liberated much of the eastern continent of Shard. However, as the Orcs left and withdrew from the city, giving in to their natures, they despoiled and destroyed much of which they knew they could no longer possess, burning, looting, and destroying everything in their path as they retreated from the city. Even to this day, 50 or so years later, much of the northern part of the city of Shard lies in ruins, and many of the villages within the wooded areas to the north of the town still lie in ruins, abandoned, falling into disrepair, since the defenders have only been able to hold on to the southern part of it. They do their best to patrol the town, but fearful eyes ever watch to the north, scared that one day the Dark Orc hordes might return, creeping from the woods like shadowy wraiths in the night to retake the city and destroy their liberty. So, as I've said, we find our heroes on the road, and I'm going to turn this over to you guys now. What sequence of events led to you guys both all working together and being on one of the northern roads, investigating rumours that Dark Orcs had been seen in the woodlands to the north of the town? Over to you guys.
I will start off then. So, Salo, as a dark elf, is obsessed with perfecting an art. Although he's left his previous house of master duelists, he looks for any opportunity he can find to perfect his skills. Often to do that, he will actively go out and seek out people of the other races and pledge himself to their service. Often asking very little in terms of reward in so doing. He was particularly interested in the rumours of Dark Orcs, firstly because they are intimately connected with the Dark Source, which he finds interesting, and also that they are usually worthy combatants that he can practice his arts with.
Indeed they are, Salo. So out of the other heroes that accompanied you, Oren, Loku, and Valor Silvertongue, which of those 3 did you first encounter, and what led to you choosing to stay together after that meeting?
I believe his attention would be drawn towards Loku as the most obviously capable fighter. He always looks for people who he can either learn from or defeat. And in this case, he wasn't sure what the result would be, and he's intrigued to find out whether he can learn the answer to it.
Okay, so when you first met Loku, would you have challenged him to a combat? How would you have tested your mettle against his Orcan strength?
I suspect it would have actually started off with a friendly request for a non-lethal duel, an opportunity to test his skills.
Okay, so Loku, when you first encountered Salo, this moon elf, this dock alpha, this dark elf, and he challenged you to this friendly, non-lethal fight to test your skills against each other, how would you have responded to that?
I think Loku would have accepted his challenge. As I said, he's trying to prove himself better now, and that would be definitely a case of actually showing your prowess in combat without taking it as far as he did before, kind of thing. Yeah, he would accept it.
Okay, so for the first actual roll of the game, I'm going to ask both Loku and Salu, can you both make me an attack roll using whatever weapon you would have used in the challenge? Don't worry about the damage, basically we're just seeing who gets the best roll, and that would have been the person who won in your non-lethal battle. So if you can both make your roll, please. Splendid. So, it was a very, very close-fought battle that happened between Loku and Salu. However, Loku being about to what, brute strength and barbarian rage, eventually Salu was able to triumph over you by keeping a calmer head and by being more sort of analytical, whereas you were just like launching yourself in and going for it. However, Salu, you would know that this person is pretty much your equal in combat. It was, if he'd have been a bit calmer and had maybe considered things, the fight might not have gone your way. But luckily you were just about able to win the fight. Okay, so I'm now going to turn to our other heroes. I'm going to turn to Orin. Orin, out of these other heroes, which of them did you first meet? And why did you choose to stay together?
Oh, that's a good question. So I would imagine that the first meeting was probably with our halfling friend. Perhaps a tavern of sorts, resting my weary, adventuring bones one evening, and that desperation for needing to tell someone a story of my adventures, of my heroism, and no one over the 4-foot mark really listening. And I think that maybe in this inn he found this halfling who was maybe more concerned with a meal and drink than he was actually listening to Orin's tales. But Orin had some coin that evening, and so he paid for the meal and maybe even the lodging that evening, separate rooms, of course. And since then, even though he feels that maybe this young squire is in need of his training, he's more or less followed him around with that sort of I'm leading you from behind mentality. Like you're following me from front.
Okay, excellent. So, Valor, when you encountered this gnome in one of the inns in Liberty, and he seemed to be quite intent on telling you the tales of his heroism, even paying for your rooms, getting the drinks in pretty much all night, and he's pretty much been like following you around ever since, although it very much seems as though the gnome sort of regards you as a squire of sorts. How does Valor respond to this, and how do you feel about this gnome that now seems to have just like attached himself to you?
The perfect puppet. So he will play. At first he's like, "Oh, this old human is talking to me," and he won't shut up. And then he's like, this will work." And then as the night progresses, and he's paying for things. That's very nice of you. And then as we've been traveling, he has been going that squirely route. He'll say, "My lord is wanting accommodations. My lord, they are requesting." So he's playing this up really high, but he does look out for the old man because he may be a little out there, but he is overall good. But this guy's his meal ticket. So right now I'm poor. I spent everything. So he has his meal taken, and he's going to play that up. So he'll always defer to the old man. My lord wishes somewhere to eat. Do you have a table available? He's quite good. He's quite known around the lands, and he'll play it up. So he's a hype man for him, even though he's the squire to the lord.
Splendid. So, Valor, as you and your gnome lord have been travelling around, you eventually encounter a pair of adventurers. One of them is a dark elf, you can tell by his dark sort of purpley, bluish black skin, whilst the other seems to be a half-orc, distinguishable from the dark orcs of the Empire by his light grey skin. They're known as a tribe of orcs who rebelled against the Dark Empire and actually helped the free people. In fact, the name half-orc isn't anything to do with their ancestry. It's a term of derision that is used towards them by the Dark Orcs, who say that they've become too human, they're no longer proper orcs. But the half-orcs themselves have taken it upon them as a badge of honour, and they now wear it proudly to distinguish themselves. So, how is it that yourself and your lord came to meet up with these two strange figures?
I'd say we were probably, again, he's wanting to adventure, I imagine, my lord, so we're probably traveling between towns, and met at an inn one night. Dark, stormy clouds, they're at one table, we're at another. And something about them is probably either interested, my lord, or he sent me over to introduce him, the great knight, the hero that he is, as he again probably tells his tales and is waiting for people to watch. I'll go and grab people, and even if I have to bribe some people to pay attention so that he feels good about himself, he does that. But he'll go around and he'll get everybody and says, my lord, they probably wish to speak with you about your tales. Shall we sit with them?
Yes, bring them over. Men like themselves are always looking for redemption. Bring them over.
So a few moments pass. You all gather around this large table in one of the inns in Liberty. And let's play that scene out now. Laku and Salo, you've been travelling with each other. You're brought over to the table of this gnomish lord by his young halfling squire. There's a terrible storm raging outside. It's clear that none of you are going to be leaving the inn this evening. So, to get everyone in character, let's just play through the scene, any conversations you might wish to have. Now, you're all sat around this table, you can hear people chatting in the inn, there's people moving about, there's drinks available, etc. Over to you guys.
Valor will address everyone and says, my lord wishes to regale us of tales of old. Thank you for coming over and listening to us. I will go get drinks, and he'll bow low, first to his lord and then to the guests. Again, there's something about him, he's got that twink in his eye that he's just watching everywhere, making sure you guys aren't hostile to his lord.
Well, welcome, friends. It is fate and destiny that have brought us together this evening. Welcome. I am Oren Rundar, famed knight and fighter for a cause and justice. And you, both of you, look like men of merit and muscly means. And I think we have been drawn together.
Well, we have by our little friends, at least.
Salo will look down at his form, very clearly not very particularly strong, and look back up without saying anything.
Indeed, it's quite clear as you sit around the table that obviously this gnome lord and his halfling squire don't have the sheer muscular might and combat expertise that yourself and Laku might have. However, there is something about this gnome. He has a confidence, a sort of exuberance that sort of warms you to him a little as he's talking to you.
So, as we're sitting there, Oren's constantly brushing these sort of tufty locks of white hair that poke out from under his cap. He keeps trying to brush them back, maybe trying not to appear as old as he is. But even with that, I mean, his skin is old and wrinkled, and he looks across, and of course I'll have drinks brought over for all of us, and you can tell us of your heroic journeys, and we'll tell you of ours, and perhaps this very evening a cause will rise up, and we will rise to meet it. Yes, it will be wonderful.
At that, Valor will pop in between the two of you, and here are your drinks. Very quietly, I didn't even hear him come by, but here you go. I did not know what you wished to drink, but there is wine and mead. Please choose what you like, and he'll bow low again.
Indeed, you've all been talking when you hadn't even noticed the small halfling squire had slipped away from the table and gone to the bar. You were only really aware of his presence when he literally squeezes in between Valor and Loku, placing this tray containing a couple of bottles, some mead, etc., down on the wooden table that you're all sat around. His footfalls seem extremely light, even for a halfling.
Well, Loco it looks a bit standoffish as a guy, basically. And you might think it's because you're different races or not, but he looks young, but his eyes look like he's seen a lot, and he doesn't look like the type of guy who likes to talk about it. So he's being a bit more standoffish than his friend.
Okay, so the rest of you guys spend long into the evening talking, regaling each other with tales, and you're all forced to spend the night at this inn due to the heavy storm outside that rattles the timbers of the inn, and you can hear the rain pounding down upon the roof. Luckily, the mood in the inn is fairly jolly. There are a couple of people playing instruments, there are people drinking. Obviously, a lot of the people of Liberty, especially people who are only visiting or maybe don't have their own abodes, have crammed into this large inn that has a huge twisted oak tree growing outside of it, so near to the building that it almost looks like part of the building itself. And that's how you spend the rest of the evening. We're now going to cut to a time a couple of days later. The weather has changed. It is slightly overcast, but the temperature is a little warmer, and the rain, at least for now, has stopped. We find our four heroes having chosen to remain together. After all, these are dangerous times, and there is a certain strength in numbers. We find our four heroes having been set on a mission to investigate potential sightings of dark orcs lurking in the woodlands to the north. Which of you guys would have been the one to accept this mission, and who was it who hired you for this mission? Anyone feel free to jump in.
I would have accepted this mission as an orc myself. I want to protect this land from my kind of thing, so it's something that I'll be very happy to get onto, very proactive.
Okay, so Locker, you accepted the mission. However, Orin, who was it who actually hired you, or how were you led to become aware of this mission?
So, I think one of the days after this large rainstorm, we pass a small young half orc in the street, and he's out there scooping up potatoes and onions from yesterday's market out of the mud, wiping them off as best he can onto his also muddy and holey clothing. And upon approaching him, we of course ask him what he's doing and what's wrong, and he tells us that this is the meager existence he can scrape by, and I reach for some coins to give him, and at this point I'm kind of tapped out also. Purchasing traveling companions through drink and inn stays gets expensive real quick. So I make the gesture of reaching into my coin purse, and when I realize there's nothing in there, I withdraw my hand without telling him I don't have anything, and I say, No, today I will not give you coin, boy. Instead, I will promise you a feat of heroicism from Oren and company. And so I kind of give him that free ticket. To which he, the next day, comes back with another person in tow, looking to call in his heroicism, his heroic deed. And here we are, having already promised we're going to go do it.
Okay, so when the half-orc Darfu, this poor half-orc scratching a meagre existence on the streets of Liberty, comes back to you, he's bringing a man who you recognise as wearing the uniform of the Protectors of Liberty, who are effectively the town guard, but they also range far outside the town of Liberty, trying to secure it from any threats from the north or any resurgence of the Dark Orc Empire. The man introduces himself as Camelak.
As he's talking to you, he says, I hear from young Darfu here that you're seeking to earn yourself renown and glory in the bounds of the town of Liberty. Which of you is Oren? And he looks at you all in turn.
I step forward proudly with my rusty and ill-shined armor. I won't say gleaming in the sun, more speckling in the sun. But I step forward. Well, I'm Oren. What can I do for you on this fine day? What can we do for you? I make a wide sweeping gesture towards everyone.
Camelak strokes a wispy grey beard that sprouts at odd angles from his chin. Any of you who are warriors can tell from looking at him that he's obviously not in the prime of his youth. He has wispy grey hair, but most of his head is bald. He looks at you and he says, tell me, what do yourself, Oren, and your company know of dust? And as he says the word dust, he lowers his voice almost to a whisper.
That's a good question. What do I know of dust?
Yeah, Oren, what do you know about dust?
If you wish, you can make me some sort of history or knowledge roll.
I'll give you a history roll here. Let me see. You can do it. You can roll. I believe in you. It says no. Hold on. It's not liking me. There we go.
Okay, Oren, you've heard vague mentions of dust. You think it's some sort of drug, but you've obviously been concerned with far more heroic things and some sort of street drug, so you've not really paid a lot of attention to the rumours. You pretty much know the name and that it's a drug.
Dust. You'll have to forgive me, friend. In my travels, I've come across many things that have similar names. Fairy dust, and pixie dust, and dust on mantles. There was one time, though, dust so thick, I tracked the man, his footprints, through the great halls, yes, in the dust. the dust. And I kind of look towards everybody else like, come on, somebody else, jump in here.
And indeed, if anyone else wishes to make either a history or a medicine roll, you can see what you know about dust.
I will consult my amazing knowledge of medicine, which apparently is substantially better than normal.
Your knowledge is pretty amazing, Salah, and in fact that's not surprising because you know that the drug that humans and the free people refer to as dust is actually tiny fragments of dark crystal shards mixed with the flowers of the black lotus. It is an extremely addictive substance, and due to the presence of the dark shard powder in the drug, it can have some serious physical effects, as well as the strange euphoria it induces in those who take it. If it's taken over a long period, it inevitably proves lethal, but due to it being so addictive, once someone's taken it a couple of times, they're pretty much hooked. It's a horrible, mutating blasphemy of a drug. And indeed, you're not entirely 100% sure, but you believe it may have actually originated as one of the other family of moon elves who were experimenting with dark shards, although you don't know that for certain because it wasn't your family.
Salo, just for reference, given that it is sunlight outside, he's wearing a strip of cloth over his eyes. He will look over at the half-orc and say, "Should be very careful throwing that word around. It's not something your hands are meant to hold."
I won't be touching that stuff.
Darfu, the half-orc sort of street person, holds up his hands and he says, "Oh no, I haven't been touching it myself. I've just heard it's in the area. Camelak was looking to do something about it." Can you mute your mic, please, whoever's got the background noise? Okay, so Darfu has told you that he's had nothing to do with it himself. However, Camelak, the human city guard that he has brought over, one of the protectors of liberty, says, "Oh, yes, you're right. You're right, my elven friend." You notice he peers at you closely, Salo, apparently having noticed for the first time that you're an elf, and you see his eyes narrow a little. It's a suspicion you're used to, given that your people weren't directly involved in freeing this land from the Dark Orc Empire. But Camelak continues and says, "Well, I have recently, in my investigations into how this vile, perverse substance has been entering Liberty, I have discovered that there is a group of smugglers and bandits and thieves bringing it into the city. But as I've said, it's a cursed, vile substance tainted with darkness. The last time I saw it was during my campaigning days, and then it was only in the hand of the Dark Orcs. I've managed to discover that it's coming in from the northern woods, just outside the town of Liberty. However, our resources are stretched thin at the moment. The protectors do not have the numbers to protect Liberty and also investigate this." At which point he puts a slightly wrinkled hand on your shoulder, Oren, and then he says, "However, if there were brave individuals who could investigate this for us and bring these dealers to justice, the protectors of Liberty would not be ungrateful."
I will stop these dust dealers. They sound like a scourge on this land.
Camelak nods gratefully and then says,
Unfortunately, I cannot tell you much more about where these people are making their hideouts. I believe it may be one of the old ruined villages in the woodland to the north of Liberty. But alas, beyond that I cannot tell you much. My duties do not permit me to leave the town to investigate such things. I have only been able to investigate it all due to word I've received from travellers, merchants coming into the city. I'm sorry I cannot give you more information.
That's fine. Something like dust has one source. We'll need to track it down before the dark orcs who brewed that stuff brings too close to the city.
Camelak nods, and when you mention dark orcs, you see that almost without thinking about it, he subconsciously raises his right hand and he just touches a light line that runs down the left-hand side of his face, an old scar that is mostly healed, but as you look at his hand you can see a thin white line running down the left-hand side of his face, like he once received a vicious wound from some kind of bladed weapon.
Well, I'll comment to him. I'll just kind of like look at him and give him a nod and say, "I see you've met your share of Dark Orcs before." Come on.
He looks at you and says, "Well, let's just say that I was not always this sorry, weary old warhorse that you see before you now. In my younger days, I fancied myself quite the warrior, but there is a danger to those who believe themselves, as most young people do, to be invincible. Alas," and he touches his scar again, "I was overconfident when I was a youngster on a patrol around the borders of the northern woods. We were set upon by a group of goblins, and overconfident as ever, I believed that we could handle them. Unfortunately for my fellow protectors, that was not the case. We were ambushed. I was the only one to escape alive, but they left me with this to remind me of the mistake that I had made."
You'll try and learn from your lesson. Not be so
Indeed, it was
brash.
a hard lesson. Again, whoever's got the background noise can keep your mic muted.
Obvious, mate. Got nothing here.
Okay, so we cut to a scene a couple of days later. Having agreed to accept this mission to the north of the city, you find yourself exploring the woodland. Now, which of you will be leading the way? Who will be your pathfinder, the person who guides you through these thick woodlands, these tangled ruins, and these thick, ropey trees?
Once we step into the woodlands and out of the sunlight, Sada will take the blindfold off that he's been using to shield his eyes from the sun, and turns to the group and say, "I can see farther than most. Perhaps I should lead the way."
Sounds good, Shallow.
Okay, so Valor and our gnomish lord, Sallow the Dark Elf, as he removes this strip of cloth from his eyes, and you can almost see, as it's started to get to dusk now, in the moonlight that's starting to filter down through the trees as you move into the woodlands, you can almost see a little sparkle in the eyes of the Dark Elf as they adjust to their natural lighting conditions. Sallow is proposing that he lead you through these dark woods. Are you okay with that, Valor and our gnomish Lord Orin?
Well, yes, of course. Everyone has their place in this world. And everyone has their task on an adventure. So, lead away. Traipse through the woods. Guide us safely to our destination.
Okay, Sallow, can you please make me either a survival or a nature roll? It is your choice.
I'll go for survival. Oh dear. Unfortunate. I'm still not quite used to the sunlight coming down from the trees.
Indeed, unfortunately, because it's only dusk and it's not actually night time, you're still a little bit uneasy, and it takes you a little bit longer to sort of lead them through the woods, because you're having to sort of deliberately slow down while your eyes are still adjusting. So we cut to a point in time, probably about maybe 4 hours later. It is now extremely dark. I'm going to ask, are any of you carrying lanterns? I know obviously you can see in the dark. Sallow?
Me, apparently.
Okay, can those of you who see in the dark, starting with Sallow, can you let me know what the range of your dark vision is, Sallow?
So, within 120 feet, dim light is counted as bright, and darkness is dim light.
Okay, that's fine. So let me just set that up. Okay, is there any other of your number who can see in the dark?
Yeah, I've got dark vision 60. 60 feet.
Okay, just let me add that for you. Okay, and how about Valor and Orin? Can you guys see in the dark, or is anyone carrying a lit lantern, although you're relying purely on Loku and Sallow to lead you?
Orin can also see in the dark, 60 feet.
Okay.
Valor's got his lantern, but it's not lit. He's going to hold on to Orin, pretending that he's like helping him with branches and everything that's in his way, but he can't see worth shit. So.
Okay, no problems. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move you over to the sort of overland map. And at this point in time, despite my best efforts, you'll probably all find that you can't actually see anything. So when I move the map over, which I'll do now.
Success! Looks like it's working.
Yeah.
Splendid. So all of you, with the exception of Valor, should be able to see. You'll probably just see a black screen, Valor. If I've done this right. Is that correct, Valor?
Yep, I just see my character icon.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. Okay, so as you are moving along basically a dirt path through the woodlands, you start entering the bounds of one of the many ruined villages that litter this area like so much discarded debris. Once this area was fertile farmland, and it was farmed by villagers who traded their food in the town of Liberty. However, when the Dark Orc Empire pulled out of the area, or rather when they were fought out of the area by brave heroes, they burned and corrupted the land with evil magics, with fire and with the sword, leaving it a haunted, eerie, desolate place, which few people have have sought to recolonize. As you're moving in, before we start, I'm going to ask each of you to please make me an initiative roll. You should be able to see initiative on your character sheet. If you just click on the word initiative, it will make the roll for you. I'm just trying to remember how I drag these over to the initiative. I can see we've got Sallow and Orin on there already. For some reason it's not added Loku and Valon.
John, our DM guy clicked it before you put up the turn order. Do you want me to click it again, or just how do I hard input it then?
Yeah, just click on your token and then click initiative again. Okay, lovely, thank you very much as well, Loku. So I'm just going to organise that now. So that is the initiative order for this encounter. So, Orin, you're pretty much sort of taking the lead, although ostensibly Sallow is leading you. So you don't want to be at the back. You're a brave hero of renown and legend, after all.
Of course. I'm also the brave hero that moves extremely freaking slow because I'm wearing a human-sized chainmail shirt instead of a gnomish size, but that's all right. So yeah, I'm brush popping and bush busting and knocking, even occasionally knocking back unnecessary branches with a, unnecessary. But yeah, so I will be in the front.
Okay, Orin, can you please make me a perception roll?
I can roll it, making it. It'll be different.
Oh dear.
Okay, that is absolutely fine. You're walking through the woods. You've just started to enter the ruins of the village that you can see around you. Obviously, since you guys have all had time to talk to each other and get to know a little bit more about each other, you would all be aware that out of your group, it is only Valor who cannot actually see in the dark to some degree, although you would know he has a lantern, but it's not lit at the moment. So, over to you, Orin. What are you doing as you're entering this eerily quiet, ruined village?
So, counter to how eerily quiet it is, I can feel, Valor's hand on me as he's helping me, and I'm helping guide him in the darkness. And so, as I'm swatting these branches back with the blunt of my short sword, this reminds me of a tale of the dwarves escaping from under one of the cities. You see, it was dark. It wasn't just any common darkness. It was magical, and the dwarves had been blinded, except for this one young dwarven priest who had found these magical goggles or glasses, and it allowed him to see, a gift from the gods, I believe, crafted from shards of the light. And as he traveled through, he battered back web after web after web as I swing at these branches of these dark spider beasts. It was much like this. And so I'm just progressing through, narrating this tale and unnecessarily swatting back branches from the edge of this path.
Okay, so at this point, I'm going to move all of your counters forward a little as you're sort of like moving slowly into these ruins. Valor is behind you. Orin will see a sort of hand on your waist, since he can't see in the dark. As you're moving forward, Loku, can you please make me a perception roll?
Yes. Perception.
Okay,
We're
that's
too busy listening to
absolutely
the
fine.
tales.
Indeed, to be honest, yeah, it's a 5, yeah. Okay, so it's quite difficult to hear anything over the fact that Oren's like loudly narrating this tale about a dwarf who escaped this magical darkness. Now, given that you're entering this ruined village, I'd say it would be eerily quiet, apart from the fact Oren's like in full flow with his narrative, and you fellows have been hanging around long enough in the inn that you know that once he gets started on a story, that's his thing. Once he gets started on a story, there is like no stopping him. So, given that this is going on and you're being quite loud, given that Oren is spelling out this narration, how are you people moving through the ruins? Are you just like walking along? Are you being a bit cagey? How are you approaching it?
Well, since I come from like a little village with forests and stuff, we're generally like hunters and stuff, so we're more stealthy and more careful with our approach on our targets. I have considered a few times that the only way to stop Oren is my great axe, but no, don't do that. So yeah, I'm trying to keep myself stealthy, even though my comrade is being least stealthy.
Okay, so at this point I'm going to ask Oren, Salo and Loku to move your tokens the appropriate amount. Each of these squares is 5 foot. If you need to check a distance, you can click on the ruler icon on the left of your Roll20 screen and drag out a line to see how far something is. This should enable you to determine how far you can move. However, if you're trying to be careful, you probably don't want to move any further than half your movement.
Right. How do I move my token?
If you click the mouse pointer thing at the top,
On that.
yeah, then you should be able to click and drag to move your token around.
Ah, cool.
Yeah, you just left click your mouse on
you go.
your token and drag it.
Awesome. Yeah.
Okay, as you're... Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, Salo is going to use Oren kind of as a, almost like a canary, so allowing him to continue his talk while he uses the opportunity to slip into the shadows and move quietly.
Recognizing that we are moving into a stealthy area, Oren has changed from narrating loudly to a loud stage whisper. So he's kind of creeping, holding his sword, but it's not a good stealth. His armor chinks when he moves, and now he's talking like this, right? So you can still hear him, but he's being quiet.
Reading the room. That's good.
Okay, so to the rest of you, you think Oren's trying to be quiet, but you know those conversations where people try and whisper, they're almost as loud, if not as loud as when they're talking. It's that sort of scenario. However, Loku, as you move nearer, you can hear a slightly hushed voice that appears to be coming from here, and I hope you can see the red circle where I've just clicked.
Yeah.
And Loku, you hear a voice say, which you, speaking Orcish, would recognise it as someone saying, I can hear something. It's the guttural tongue of an orc.
Yeah. Well, since Salo's near me, quite next to me, I'm going to try and get his attention and kind of point in that direction and kind of give him like heard some over there, kind of hand signals.
Okay, Salo. So
Salo's
using hand
Orcish as well
signals,
for
Loku
elements.
points in. Yeah, in which case anyone who speaks Orcish will have heard that, someone saying, I hear something. It's quite obviously an orc, given the guttural tones. But Loku, having worked with you for a while and used hand signals to sort of establish things quietly, he points over in the direction of the circle that you should now be seeing, and sort of gestures that the noise is coming from over there.
Salo will make a gesture of moving his hand around, suggesting that they try and go around the sides.
Yeah.
I would show the hand motion, but sadly I have no webcam.
Yeah, Yeah, that's fine.
That's absolutely fine. Okay, so I'm going to add in an initiative roll for the NPCs. Okay, so as you guys are moving through this village, you can now hear a sort of scuffling from behind the building that Loku has indicated.
So, I don't understand the Orcish, but I can hear this sound of something, yeah?
Indeed.
So it's I imagine for Orin, it's a lot like if I were to hear Russian, right? Like I wouldn't understand it, but I know that that's Russian or at least some similar language. And so I reach back and I grab the wrist of Vala and I'm like, ready your blades. And I step like 5 feet away from him and, foul beasts! It is I, Orin, Rundar. I have come to challenge you. Come out from your shadows.
Okay, now Orin, obviously you get to go first and you deliver your speech and come out of the shadows. Are you moving at all, or are you remaining static as you call out this challenge into the darkness?
So I'll move up to here, these edge of the bushes here, and I beat them with my sword a little bit, and then I'll move to right here, and that's where I make my stand. My shield in one arm and my short sword in the other.
Okay, excellent. Now I'm going to move Vala up behind you, since obviously Vala's sort of following along behind you. Now Vala, you've heard this challenge delivered with great aplomb by Orin, but to you obviously everything is pitch black. You've just got your hand on Orin's belt, and you've heard his voice shouting out this challenge into the darkness. What do you do, Vala?
I light my lantern.
Okay, what is the radius of your lantern?
Standard, I believe it's 20 feet.
Okay, that's fine. I'll add that into your character. Just give me a moment. 20 feet. There we go. Hopefully you should be able to see a little bit further now. Vala. Let me know if you can't see, and I'll fiddle around with it a bit. Okay, so you light your lantern, Vala. You can see a small sort of area around you, but everything beyond that is pretty much in darkness. What do you choose to do? You obviously lit your lantern, which is a fairly sort of incidental action. You're muted, Vala.
He'll have his short bow ready and he'll defend his lord.
Okay, excellent. Now, as you're lighting your lantern, technically the NPC movement happens at the same time. So, as you're doing that, you're lighting your lantern, Vala, you've heard Orin calling out his challenge. You hear sort of like heavy footfalls around the side of this building, and there is a huge creature charges into the side of Orin, running around the side of the building. You see this almost simian, ape-like figure with the dark greenish skin and fanged tusks of an orc. It charges around towards Orin. As it runs towards him, you can see that this orc is holding a large axe. It's trailing it along the ground, dragging it through the soil, small sparks coming up where it hits stones, and as it runs round, it swings it up above its head and charges towards Orin, making an attack. Owen, what is your AC?
18.
Okay, the orc bellows its fury in answer to your challenge and swings its great axe towards you. However, perhaps distracted by the sheer brazenness of the challenge which you issued, it actually swings as though it was going to attack a human, and you feel air displacement as the axe whistles over your head. For the moment, you have escaped harm, but you can hear more footfalls coming around the side of the building.
So I like to think that as this axe is swung at me, Orin ducks just a little bit, and with the flat side of the blade, just taps this thing in sort of a insulting sort of, ha-ha! Sort of old manny, challenging way.
The orc bellows something in its crude, foul, dark tongue. Any of you who speak Orcish recognize that it's effectively a threat, which, loosely translated into common, translates as, I'm going to squash you flat like a little dog and then eat the paste. Okay, so that's the NPCs. Oh, indeed, they're nothing if not creative when it comes to the insults. We now move on to Valor Silvertongue. You've done your move, you've looked around, you've seen this orc come in, you've got your short bout because your stuff's happening at the same time. There's not really a lot else you can do in this turn, but you are ready to go. So, we're going to move on to Salo.
Okay. So first thing I'll probably check at this stage is, does it look like I've been spotted? Have the orcs seem to have focused on Orin, or have they noticed all of us?
Certainly the one that's run around the side of the building and has charged into Orin is focused on him, perhaps answering his brazen challenge. However, it's extremely unlikely that the orcs moving around the building haven't seen the rest of you, especially with Valor's light, like shining on all of you. So you think it's a pretty safe bet that you've all been seen. However, while you're sort of looking at this, Salo, can I ask you to make me a perception check? This won't count against your actions.
Certainly.
Okay, with your stunning elven hearing, despite the fact there's these orcs moving around the building and there's bellowing and there's the swinging of weapons, if you listen, beyond that, you can hear the sound of much fainter footsteps in the ruins, like there is someone still in there, and they're sort of moving away from you. The footfalls are a lot softer than the stomping, clawed talons of the orcs.
Do you have a rough indication of what direction they're going?
You think it's coming from sort of around about here, and they seem to be sort of trying to make their way out of this ruined building that's nearest to you, away from the sound of violence.
Okay. In that case, I'm going to start moving up north towards this ruin, and as I'm going, I'm keeping my focus locks on that building, see if I can look inside it and see who's inside.
Go for it, move yourself to where you need to be.
10, 15, 20. I'll move up to there.
Okay, you're getting a lot closer to the softer footfalls, but you think the person's just round the building from where you are now, the building to the left of you here. You can still hear the soft like footfalls, but you've not yet set eyes on whoever it is.
Yeah, I still have an action left, don't I?
Mm-hmm.
I'll use my remaining action to cast Dancing Lights.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. Let me just find a token to represent those. It's 4 of them, isn't it?
Yes. So there are four small orbs of basically a soft violet light.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. The shadow light in a 10-foot radius. So let me just set that up. Obviously everyone will be able to see that. So, one. Hoping you guys can see those.
Yeah.
Okay, splendid. So, let me just check that the lights are okay with all of those. So 10 foot on place can see the light. Okay, now unfortunately I can't sort of turn them over to your direct control. However, if you want to move them, if you just sort of like let me know and then highlight where you want them to be, I'll move them to that location.
Yeah, so what I'll do is I'm going to make them appear on the other side of the building, 20 feet apart. So the first one will be about here, and then the remaining ones will basically, so 20 foot straight down from that one is the next one, and then so on.
And you want them all to be in like a line going straight down, is that true?
Yeah, basically lighting up the other side of the building.
Okay, so to the rest of you, who I'm hoping can see those lights as well. Indeed, if you're not within line of sight, you may not be able to see them all. However, as Sallow completes his incantations in this almost sort of sing-song and mournful elvish language, you see these four lights appear, and as you summon them, the one nearest to you, Sallow, the one here, as it springs into life, you hear a quiet voice from the other side of the building, obviously trying to stay quiet, but startled by these lights. You hear a voice in common go,
"Oh shit!"
We then move on to Loku.
Okay.
It's your turn, Loku.
Right, so I'm going to move up to here. I guess I can't attack from there for the next turn, so that's the end of my turn. I'm getting ready. Fight this orc.
You can move and attack.
But that's 30 foot to there, that's my movement, so I can't move 35 foot, can I?
No.
Yeah, so that's my full movement.
Alright, okay, no problem. So as you run forward, Loku, you can see another one of these gnarled orcs. Not like a slightly more civilised orc, for want of a better term, like yourself. You have no doubt this is one of the dark orcs. It embodies the worst characteristics of your race.
Sorry, keep shit.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say this as I charge towards him. Oh, this is screaming out, not in stealth. Die, Dark Orc! This is giving out my howl of attack.
It looks at you and it spits out a curse in Orcish, which roughly translates into common as blood traitor.
But mine will be in Orc as well, so he knows what I'm saying.
It gestures like that.
Come on. I'll give him some gesturing.
Okay, next round, Oren. You've seen Loku running forward to challenge this other orc. They're having a bit of a face-off, both shaking their sort of weapons at each other and spitting curses at each other in Orcish. However, you're still in combat with this huge orc yourself. What do you do, Oren?
So I look as Laku runs by me, and I see him tangling with this other orc, and good man, give him hell! And then I'll swing at the one near me.
Okay, make your attack roll.
The wrong pass, I give my thumbs up.
They are AC 13.
So I swing at him, and it hits his tough green hide, and rather than penetrating, it just slides up almost with the sound of a strapping, right? Like you can hear the blade scrape across that leathery skin, just like perhaps shaving some hairs off of his arm.
As the blade scrapes, it does indeed shave some hair off this orc's arm, but as it continues up, you realise that further up his arm, what you first took to be simply the filth-encrusted skin of an orc is actually a form of hide armour, and as you realise with horror that it looks as though this orc is wearing hide armour made out of orc skin. And I'm going to make the orc's attack back on you. It swings at you again, however you are able to dive out of the way of its blow. Its axe thuds into the soft, damp earth between yourself and Valor, spraying up filthy water and mud. It curses us with a it pulls the axe out of the ground. Okay, I'm now going to move into the second orc, which, unsurprisingly enough, charges towards you, Laku, swinging its rusty, pitted axe in your direction. What's your AC, Laku? Okay, so it has hit you, and it has caused 11 hit points of damage. Now, when you take damage, if you click on your token, you'll see some circles appear above it. The blue circle has your armor class in it. The green circle has your current hit points in it. If you click on the green circle, it will allow you to edit the number. So if you click on that number 12,
yeah,
Laku, and change the number. So you're taking 11 off, so you have 1 hit point remaining.
Bloody hell.
So the rest of you watch aghast as this, after this face-off, this dark orc runs forward. It swings its axe upwards, embedding it in Laku's chest. You see the half-orc's blood spray into the air as it almost like lifts him off its feet. The axe is still embedded in his chest. The orc goes, and then it shouts out a curse, and you recognise it. Anyone who speaks Orcish recognises it as it insults your lineage, calling you a blood traitor once again, and saying that the only good thing about a half-orc is the way they are so easy to kill.
Bastard. You kick one of them down, man.
Okay, Valor.
Valor is assessing the situation. He's kind of balancing it out. His master seems to be nimble for the old man. He hadn't seen him this spry in a while. And he sees that, Laku is hurt. So he will step behind his master and around, and he will fire at the orc that is attacking Laku. Since Laku is battling it, if it hits, it will be considered a sneak attack.
That is absolutely fine. It has an armor class of 13. Make your roll.
Here we go.
You have most definitely hit it. Would you like to roll your damage? Okay, you have quite considerably felled that Dark Orc. Valor, would you like to describe how your attack goes down and how it takes down this brutish beast?
I distracted him.
So you've killed the Orc, Valor.
Okay. Right by Loku's
Describe how it goes down.
Comes the arrow. Just kind of doesn't hurt him, doesn't nick him, but just moves that little hair around his ear out and hits the Orc right in the eye. And the Orc just is grabbing onto his axe and falling over, surprised that he died.
Indeed, the Orc lets out a strangely high-pitched howl, one hand clutching at the arrow protruding from its eye. It staggers backwards, its other hand still on its axe. There is a wet as the axe pulls free of Loku's chest, and the Orc topples to the ground with a and lies still. Loku, you stand there swaying, no longer with his axe embedded in you, but there is a vicious wound in your chest and your blood is just running out of you. You feel like it's taking every ounce of strength you have just to remain standing. But for now, we move on to Sallow.
Okay, so our fine folks over on this end seem to have things handled quite well. So I'm going to continue my hunt for whoever it was that's trying to desperately run away. So let's have a look. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Okay, so I can just about see this jet here.
So, as you're moving around the building, you catch sight of what appears to be a human with a black beard and long black hair, wearing some, you think possibly leather travelling clothes or maybe leather armour, you're not sure. You literally just catch a glimpse of him as he's obviously trying to hug close to the building and stay out of sight.
Okay. In that case, I'm going to I'm going to raise my sword on the one that's embedded with the pieces of the shard. Shout a curse at him and fire an eldritch blast in his direction.
Okay, so with your eldritch blast, you need to make an attack roll for that. Yeah, so make your ranged spell attack.
4.
Okay, so with a 14, you have hit. His AC is 12. Roll a d10 to see how much force damage you're doing.
Nice.
Okay, you hear a cry of pain from around the side of the building as this sort of dark eldritch bolt hits something or someone. You hear a cry of pain in a human voice, then you hear the sound that you recognise and you've heard many times before. It's the sound of a body hitting the floor and of someone who's heavily injured trying to crawl across the ground. We then move on to Loku. Loku, you're in a bad way, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The sword lies at your feet, but it feels at the minute to you like a strong wind could see you join in, as you can feel your blood soaking into your clothes and dripping down onto the floor with a soft.
Okay. Well, as a barbarian, it says on my character, if I get to 0, I can go back up to 1 or something. Does that mean you can just keep going, but you're fucked? That kind of thing. Is that like a barbarian?
Let me just have a look. I will check that on your sheet. Just give me, because it's important, so I'd rather check it than get it wrong. Let me just have a look at that for you.
I believe it's the half-orc racial ability.
Yes, it's relentless endurance. So if you were taken down to 0 hit points, but you weren't killed, you could just go, actually I'm not going to be at 0 hit points, I'm at 1 hit point. However, you can only use it once, and then you have to eat per long rest. So after you've used it once, you can't use it again until you've had like 8 hours rest. So you can't just keep doing it, but it's like a one-time get out of jail free card, something.
Okay, so if I go to 0, I can use it once and not be on 0. Yeah.
Indeed. At the minute, luckily or perhaps unluckily for you, you're still on 1 hit point, so you're still just about holding it together, but your arms are trembling, your legs are trembling, you feel weak, your already pale skin has gone even paler due to the amount of blood you've lost.
Well, as a barbarian and a silly half-orc, and someone who's kind of, well, should be trained for this stuff, I'm going to keep going in that sense of I don't want to look weak. So I'm going to kind of move around to where this guy is, or where I think this guy might be. But,
okay, now, I'm going to suggest something to you here, and I'm only suggesting this because you may not be familiar with the mechanics, you don't have to do this. I might suggest to you that you might consider using your barbarian rage sense. If you use your rage, it gives you advantage on strength checks, extra damage, and it also gives you like resistance to various types of damage, so you'd like take half damage, but it only lasts for like 1 minute. But at the minute, you're sort of suffering, so that sort of extra could like help keep you in the fight, so to speak.
Yeah.
So,
Creeping around would have been good to use that before, but yeah, exactly, I'll use that now, definitely.
So how does your character rage up? What do you do to get yourself into this battle frenzy? This rage that runs through the blood of your people?
Since I'm kind of an ancestor of skulls, we kind of howl out to the moon. Get a kind of blood kind of curdling howl.
Do you howl out any words, or is it just more a guttural sort of cry?
Yes, animalistic. We're a very animal tribe, so yeah, very wolfish.
Okay, so the rest of you, so quite surprised that Loku's still standing, given that he's almost been like cut in half lengthways. You see him tilt his head back, he opens his mouth, his tusks shining in the moonlight, and he gives vent to this angry, furious howl that seems to shake the ruins around you.
As a note, have we ever seen you do this before?
No, I don't use it. I don't use it at these kind of times, and I guess we haven't been at this point yet.
The rest of you, when you've been talking to Loki, you've been in civil surroundings, has been quite calm and a little bit taciturn occasionally, but quite calm and normally sort of mild-mannered, certainly for a half-orc. So when he gives vent to this cry, it's a rare glimpse into this savage side of his species that you've previously not seen. However, it does seem to be keeping him on his feet at the minute, which is no small thing given the state that he's in. So, Loki, you've triggered your rage. Do you want to do anything else?
Okay.
That's one action, you've still got something else you can do.
Can I move for the rest of my action?
Yeah, you can move.
I can move normally, 30 foot. 3. That's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Can I attack this guy, or is the rage my action?
I believe, and anyone who's more familiar with 5th edition than me, I believe the rage would be your action, so you'd be able to move. I think that's right. If anyone knows different, please feel free to tell me.
Rage is the bonus action, so you still have your attack.
Splendid, thank you very much. So, yeah, you can still make your attack. As you charge around the side of this building, you run between the edge of the building, which is here, and also what appears to be an old abandoned well here. As you run around the building, you can see, crawling along the floor with a sort of charred burn mark on his back, is a human, long black hair, long black beard. He appears to be trying to pull himself along the ground very slowly towards this well, although it looks as though something, you're not sure what, has done some hideous damage, some burns to his back. He's barely moving. To be honest, he looks in as bad a state as you.
Okay,
And it's
cool.
just he's pulling himself along.
As I'm standing over the top of him with my axe, and it feels like an execution move here, I'm just going to look down at him and go, your vile shadow of a human do not deserve to live in this world anymore. And try and kill him.
Okay, as you lift your axe up, he holds a hand up in your direction, and he's like,
Okay.
Wait! Don't kill me! I can pay you!
I'll just sneer at him with that kind of comment and go, that is not a way to save your life.
At that point, I'll raise my hand. Leave him.
What, tell me to stop?
Yeah, at this point, I'm raising a hand that has shards of black crystal embedded all the way along it. I will look over to you and the human and say, he is mine.
Okay. I'll accept that from Salo. He did the first blow and something pretty much killed him, so I'd rather not take his kill from him.
Okay, so although you're not sort of taking your attack in this round because Salo has told you to stop, you've pretty much got him banged to rights. You could just literally finish him off without a roll now. So if he does try anything at any point, even if it's not your turn, you're near enough just to go and kill him if you change your mind at any point. But for now, we're going to move on to... Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, when Charles says that, and I do kind of stop, he can see that I'm holding myself back because I'm in rage right now, and it's very difficult not to murder him right now.
Okay, so we're going to move on to Oren, who is still in combat with the other orc.
Yeah. Alright. So, Oren glances down. He sees this rift that's been just chopped into the ground from this huge battle axe, and perhaps if he wasn't the dashing hero he is, he'd be sizing it up and realize that if he were to step into that divot, it's almost half his shin length, right? That's got to be like 7-8 inches deep into the ground. But he is a hero, so he swings up with his sword, lashing out at this foul beast, and we'll see if he can actually hit him this time. That'd be great. Nope, same thing. Again, just across the armor.
Okay, so as you swing your short sword towards the orc, just with a hand, it just slaps the blade out of the way, and in a guttural tone goes, anyone who speaks Orcish recognises that effectively he's just said, orcs are made of iron, you puny creatures are like flowers before the scythe. And he slaps your weapon out of the way with contempt. And then swings his own battle axe towards you, although he doesn't seem to be particularly skilled himself from what you can see so far.
But he hits me that time.
Okay, indeed he does. As he slaps your weapon out of the way, he swings his axe around with his other hand and smashes it into your neck and shoulder, causing you 10 points of slashing damage. You feel the blade of the axe bite into you, and you feel your blood welling up from the wound. Okay, Valor, you have just seen Oren cleaved into his neck from the axe of this orc. He's looking like he's barely standing at the moment. Valor, what are you doing?
Valor call him Master, and he'll fire his bow.
It's most definitely a hit. Roll your damage.
Okay.
That's how much you're doing in total.
7 points. It's just the 6 and the 1 for the sneak attack. I don't know why I pumped up 2 scores there.
Okay, so your shot has injured the orc, driving him back a little. But he is still standing, but he's sort of staggered back against the side of the building, moving away from Oren a little. Describe how your shot hits him.
It's interesting. I didn't know dude sneak attack like that. Anyway, you see Valor. He shoots it out rather quickly. Again, counting the balance. He's saved 1 life, took in another life. But his master, now that he's kind of grown fond of him, this older, short-statured individual, and he kind of cries out, "Master!" and fires away. And he'll place himself next to his master, so the orc, if it attacks it'll get a chance to choosing who it wants to attack.
Okay, so we move on to Sallow. Sallow, what are you doing?
So Sallow now has a prisoner, so he's going to first move over to the human.
Okay, as you're moving over towards the human, I'm just going to interrupt you there. You can see that he, with his arm sort of under his torso, since he's lying on the ground, you can see he's trying to get something out of his jerkin, but he's trying to do it so that Loku can't see him. But given the fact that you're a lot healthier than the 2 of them, and you're keeping your eyes out for anything untoward, you can see him rummaging in his jerkin.
Yeah, in that case, I mean, it was going to be my plan anyway, but I'm going to basically kick him in the back of the head in an attempt to knock him unconscious without killing him.
Okay, that is fine. He lets out a cry as you kick him in the head, and he falls unconscious. You don't need to make any form of roll for that, given the state that he's in. So he is now knocked out.
I'll also...
Oops,
sorry. I was just going to say, I'll use the rest of my turn to dismiss all of my lights.
Okay, that's fine. I'll just remove those. As he's knocked out, as you kick him, he's just about to fumble out of his jerkin what he was reaching for. You can see it's a small vial with a cork in it, a glass vial containing a clear liquid, but as you kick him in the head, his hand falls open and the vial just drops into the mud next to him.
Should have gone for a knife.
Indeed, perhaps he should have done. So we move on to Loku. Loku, you've seen Sallow stride around the corner and kick this guy in the head. You've not spotted that this guy was trying to get something out of his jerkin, but as he's kicked in the head, you see this vial that I've described, this glass sort of bottle with this cork in, fall out of his hand and into the mud next to his unconscious body.
Okay, since I will have heard Valor kind of like shout "Master," I'm guessing they're kind of having problems wearing that out, which you can't see. So I'm still in like a rage right now, so I want to fucking kill something. So I'm gonna run around and try and help them.
Okay, make your move.
25, 30. Okay, I'm coming in a sec, guys. Don't die.
Okay, so unfortunately, this is just a flavour. Obviously, your movement isn't actually effective. You're a little bit sort of slower in your reaction, because although you're raging, you are still very injured. Oren and Valor, you hear Loku shout for you that he'll be there in a second, and you hear him pounding around the side of the building towards you. Yes, that's fine, Sallow. So there's no one near you, you can do that without making a roll. We're going to move on to the next round, so it's Oren.
Alright, so having this this huge cleaving wound in his all of him, I imagine. It's in all of him. He kind of heroically downs to one knee and he slams his little fist into the ground. will not be slain by the shadows. And I'm going to do lay on hands for myself. So I'm going to pop myself 5 hit points back up. So this golden light, you see it like sort of coalesce in his eyes, and then his skin gets this soft golden glow, and then for a moment the puddle of water at his feet kind of reflects that, and then it's absorbed back into his body as he recovers 5 hit points.
Okay, I've added those for you. So the rest of you see this light shining around Orin as he's described. You see some of his lesser wounds sort of close up, and the large wound gets a little smaller, although it's obviously still fairly hurt. Okay, we're now going to move on to the NPCs. Now the orc who was injured, who was facing off against you, Orin, has now reassessed. Even his feeble orcish brain has realised that Valor has been doing far more damage to him in the combat than you have, and he obviously doesn't want Valor to just stay back and keep shooting him in the eye with arrows. You can see like one of the orc's eyes is just ruined completely. He's pulled the arrow out, but his eye is just a mess. But still, he charges forward towards Valor. So, just move him in. The orc swings his mighty axe towards you, Valor. However, I am going to give him a disadvantage because one of his eyes is missing and he doesn't have any depth perception. So, let me just make his attack roll. Okay, what's your AC, Valor?
17.
Okay, so the orc charges towards you, bellowing in its foul language, and clumsily swings his axe at you. How do you evade his strike?
He kind of just falls to his knees, losing that last bit of inches since it was close.
Okay, as you drop to your knees, the axe whistles through the space that previously your head would have been occupying. We now move on to your own action, Valor.
On his knees, he'll drop the bow, and he'll reach out his back and pull out his nice, cute little dagger that matches him, and he will try to strike at the calf, or actually hamstrings creature.
Okay, make your attack roll. That's most definitely hit.
9 points. Since my master is still close by and engaging.
Okay, that is enough damage to take out the orc. If you so wish, describe what happens. You're muted. You're muted, Valor.
Alright, he hamstrings the orc by sawing into its hamstring really fast, and when he sees the orc fall back, he'll turn to his master. Are you alright? Still on his knees?
No. I after healing myself, I stood back.
Then he's like looking up at you. You know, he's got a little bit of awe because he saw the glow, and he's like, never seen that before from you. And like, this man's very different.
He's a keeper.
Just to let you guys know now, we are now out of combat round, so you don't have to go in initiative order. You don't have to go in initiative order anymore. There are no hostiles in the area still. The human is unconscious, the 2 orcs are dead, so feel free to move, talk, roleplay as you see fit. You don't have to follow the initiative order anymore.
Okay.
I'm going to search the human as best I can, see if he's carrying anything else with him.
Okay, as you're searching the human, you find he has another of these glass files containing clear liquid. It looks like thick, almost slightly viscous. He also has 5 gold pieces on him and what appears to be a small leather drawstring pouch.
Okay, going to uncork one of the vials and basically try and give it a sniff and see if I can recognise what it consists of.
I'm gonna stagger back and kind of fall to the floor. See if any of my
That's absolutely fine. So, Sallow, can you make me an Arcana roll?
Sadly, I'm not very good at that. Nope. No.
Okay, it's a clear, slightly viscous, odourless liquid. It's difficult to tell anything. It doesn't ring any bells for you.
That's fine. We can probably find someone later who knows what to do with this. In that case, I'll pick up the human's body and carry him over to the rest of them.
Okay, move yourself over to the rest of them, and I will move the human body over.
So I move here-ish.
Okay, so the rest of you see Sallow walk around the corner of the building towards you. He's got this unconscious human with a scorch mark on his back over his shoulder. As he gets round to where you all are, between these 2 orc corpses, he puts this unconscious human. You can still see his breathing, but it's very shallow and laboured. But the human is still alive, he's just unconscious. Sallow puts him on the floor.
This little rat was trying to scurry away. Keep him around in case we wanted to have a conversation with him.
So Orin looks a little wounded. Perhaps he's at this point he's like leaning on a part of the corner of a fallen building, sort of blotting away blood from this leaky wound in his neck. Maybe the same way like you might dab sweat away from your forehead. It's good thinking. Perhaps he'll have information, or he can find more of these foul beasts.
I'll be lying on the floor. If anyone's got any medical attention, that'd be good right now.
Well, I mean, I can't promise there's much skill left in these old bones, but let me take a look.
I'll accept anything right now.
Well,
Okay, Oren, as you walk over to where Loku is pretty much slumped against the side of the building, you can see that this orc has pretty much like put his axe through Loku's torso. It's a miracle that he's still alive, never mind like speaking and moving. Although Loku, since we're not in combat rounds now, your rage started to fade away, and with it the pains of your injuries have started to return. Your limbs feel heavy, you're sweating profusely. You're finding it difficult to focus.
I'm a mess.
Orange your wounds. Yeah, you're a mess, basically. That's what you see, Oren, as you move around to look at him.
alright. Well, unfortunately, I don't have a healer's kit with me, but I will give you a quick medicine roll to see if I can at least do something.
There's probably blood in it or something.
Well, I don't make it worse.
Okay, so since this is important, I'm just going to look this up to make sure I do it right. So just give me a moment. Okay, so with medicine, I believe you can stabilise people, but they don't actually get hit points back, if I'm reading correctly.
That is correct.
So, give me a moment. Okay, so he's not in immediate danger of dying. You can tell that with your medicine roll. But if he took another blow, he would be. But beyond sort of bandaging up his wounds, there's not really a lot you can do from it at this stage. It's just you've used your legs to keep yourself
Sure,
going.
but with him being as wounded as he is, Orin with his aged wisdom knows that part of what you can do for someone is just to make them feel better, like they're being attended to. So he pours some water across the wound. He bandages it as best he can. He hands you a stick, and breaks off a piece of it. Says, and chew on this. And then he hands you a little gnomish-sized flask of whiskey, and drink this. It won't help immediately, but you'll start to feel better. I'll help him. I'll help him as much as I can, letting him sort of like lean on me like you might a walking stick because of the size difference.
I appreciate that.
That's absolutely fine, and although it's not any different to your hit points, you do feel a little bit revived and a little bit better, Loku.
I'll say, thank you, Orin. Your medical skills are quite proficient. I feel so much better. And try and move. I think,
Oh, it's nothing. You'll walk it off in no time. Nothing. A good rest in an inn and a trip to the surgeon won't cure.
I'll say, get me a surgeon.
As you're doing this, Orin and Loku, can you please both make me perception rolls? Loku, you are at disadvantage, which means you'll be taking the lower of the two numbers, because obviously you're in quite a state.
Perception.
That's correct. Okay, so Orin's obviously very busy ministering to you, Loku, so his attention's fully on you. However, as you're sort of like looking over his tiny gnomish form and looking over his head, you see at the edge of the well here, you see what appear to be fingers come over the side and a head peeps out over the top of the well. It appears to be trying to remain unseen and sort of quickly ducks down again, but you've just spotted it.
Okay, since Charlotte's next to me, I'll kind of whisper to him as there's someone in the well. Someone just popped up at the well. Just chat to Salo. I'll say, check it out.
I will. Salo will nod and dip into the building just here and see if he can sneak closer to the well without being seen.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. Can you make me a stealth roll, please?
Yes. There you go.
Okay, I'm going to roll my perception. You are like a shadow moving through the darkness. You don't think you've been seen, at least you've heard no reaction from the direction.
Okay, so the route I'm going to take is to go around this way to get to basically the other end of the well to everyone else, because on the assumption that this person's attention is going to be focused towards the party. So I'll
move
move
yourself
around
to where you wish to be. And whilst Salo is... That's fine. Whilst Salo is moving, is there anything the rest of you are doing? Orin, you'd have certainly been near enough to hear Loku telling Salo there's someone in the well, go and check it out.
So,
Valor, you'll have heard... sorry, go ahead.
I suppose with that warning, I'll cut my eyes that direction and maybe not even seeing the movement in the well, but trusting him enough. Yes! This reminds me of the great battle of Frosted Fang. I remember being on that battlefield, and I'll just, as loud as I can muster at this moment in this voice. And for those of you who are familiar The Battle of Frosted Fang it's a bard's tale, right? It's one that gets told in the taverns all the time. And even though Orin's 300 plus years old, this is forever. There's no way he could have possibly been there, right? So he's reciting this tale from a first person point of view, and at moments he's even like clanging his sword on a rock nearby or anything to kind of make noise.
Okay, so as that is happening, since you're sneaking so close to the well, Salo, I'm going to ask you for another stealth roll. However, my perception roll to spot you will be at disadvantage due to the fact that my attention is being drawn towards Orin. So,
Nice.
2d20, and I'll pick the lowest. Okay, so with my mighty 11, there is absolutely no chance this person has spotted you, and as you creep closer to the well, you can actually see a person clinging onto the lip of the well. He's wearing some leather travelling clothes. They're a little bit damp. You can see there's some dried blood stains on them, and he appears to have climbed up a rope out of the well, and he's now sort of hanging on the lip of it, facing away from you, Salo, towards where Orin's loudly recounting the tale of Frosted Fang, this great battle that took place eons ago. That apparently he was there for.
So I'll again raise my right hand up towards this figure, and very quietly say to him, "If you move, you die."
Okay, make me an intimidation roll. Okay, so are you like putting a weapon to him, or are you just putting your hand on his shoulder?
I'm holding out my hand, which is the one with the shards embedded in it.
Okay, so I've moved you closer to the lip of the well. You put your hand with these black shards in it on his shoulder. As you do so, the human who's holding on the lip of the well freezes, and he sort of holds on with one hand and he holds his other up to show that he's not holding any weapons.
Climb out of the well, very slowly.
Okay, he does so, and you join him around the other side of the well, keeping your weapons trained on him. He's now holding both his hands up. He stands in front of you, both hands up. So you see he's like shaking a little bit, especially seeing the shards in your arm. He's looking extremely scared. But you see him like glancing around as though he's looking for a way to find some way to run off and escape you. But he's realising that he's not going to get very far.
Okay.
I'll bring him over here. I'll come over there, but that's a bit fun.
I will gesture with my head over towards the party and say, "Move."
Okay, so I'll move both you and him over. Salo, at weapon point, brings this other human over towards you. He's stood like in the middle of you now, his hands still held up.
That's a good lad. And what brings you out here to the middle of this battlefield?
He looks at you, and in a sort of slightly common voice
says, "Well, not that it's any of your business. I was just out for a walk in the woods. I wasn't meaning any harm. I heard a noise. I came to investigate. The next thing I know, I've got this elf with these weird rocks in his arm threatening me."
Ah, yes! Moonlit strolls and well spelunking. I remember my youth too. I am old, boy, but not that old. Try again.
you see he looks a little bit scared when you say sort of like, oh, well, spelunking, because he obviously was hoping you hadn't realised he'd just climbed out of the well. He says, look, I was just doing what I was told. I was just doing what the boss told me.
Who's your boss?
He's like stammering. He's obviously like very scared, and he's like, "Look! We were just here. We were just here to make a drop off and take delivery. Wolfred said there wouldn't be any trouble." And then he looks down at the two orcs, and you see he looks very shocked that like you four have like managed to fell these mighty dark orcs, and he's looking like even more scared and worried.
Better stop stammering and start talking, lad. What are you doing here?
He's like, look, we drop off supplies to the orcs, and well, they give us the dust. See, it's just a business arrangement. We take the dust, they take their supplies. We each go on our way. Everyone's happy.
Where are they?
It's like, where are who?
The orcs. Where do they hide?
He's like, there aren't any more orcs. You've killed them. We only ever see one or two. They just come to make the pickup. He's like, look. I'm gonna reach in. I'm gonna reach into my jerkin. I'm not going for a weapon. Just to prove what I'm saying. Is that all right?
I'll hold my axe out. No, I can't probably right now. But no, just be slow. Take it easy.
He very slowly reaches in his jerkin. He takes out a small leather drawstring pouch and he holds it out in front of himself, so towards you guys. There you go. Look, have a look in there. You'll see what I'm saying is true.
I'll take the small pouch from him. And what do we have here, boy?
That's part of the consignment we got off the orcs. Just a sample, like just for personal use.
So is it? I'll like undo the top of the bag. Is it dust? Like, is that?
Indeed, you undo the pouch, and inside you can see this glittering black powder that seems to shine strangely in the moonlight. It's a little odd because as you look at it, it's almost like the powder is glowing, but it's glowing black.
When I notice that it's dust, Sarah will speak a phrase out loud in Elvish and then hold out his hand and say, "Give it here."
No, I don't think we'll be doing that.
Like I say, we didn't mean any harm. I'm just a delivery boy, says the rambling man.
Do any harm? You're peddling this shit to the citizens of liberty. Harm. You do more harm.
Look, if no one wanted it, we wouldn't be able to sell it, would we? Times are hard. You can't blame a man for trying to make a profit in these times. Not all of us can join the guards or go out and do heroic deeds. Everyone's got families. We've got to find a way to make ends meet. I'm just doing what I need to do to survive.
I'll growl at him.
I have an idea for a use for this one.
As the human's talking and as Salo says that he might have a use for it, you notice that his gaze keeps glancing back at this pouch that Orin is holding. You notice a few beads of sweat on the human's face, and he looks a little bit nervous, and occasionally sort of licks his lips as though he's trying to moisten chapped, dry throat, and keeps glancing at this pouch that Orin's holding.
And what did you have in mind for him?
Well, him and even his band of whatever they are, aren't much use to anyone on their own. But they are a means to draw the orcs out in greater numbers.
A grand battle. We would need time, though. Some of us are wounded.
We can take them both back to Liberty. Gather up some greater numbers. Lure out the orcs using this one, and then butcher them all in one go.
The human begins to stammer again.
Look, you can't just be like dragging me about and like threatening people. The Shadow Fangs won't stand for it.
We can do what we want to.
Let me make your position perfectly clear, little human. If I were that, you were already dead.
Let me kill him, Salo. Let me kill him. Put him out of his drugging mind.
As you're saying this, you hear a groan from the previously unconscious human next to him, and he still can't move, but he goes, Don't tell him anything, Osgod.
Both of the humans are now conscious, however, the one lying on the ground is in no state to pose any threat to anyone. He can be incapacitated or killed as you wish without needing to roll.
Do we need them both? Do we need both of these creatures?
Well, need is a strong word, but
All I can say is things worse than the Dark Orcs.
perhaps. But is it truly the stronger or braver or more heroic option to kill someone so insignificant?
Think of it as putting them out of their misery.
The human identified as Osgod, the one who's standing up with both of his hands held up, suddenly stammers.
Look, you need to come along. I can tell you where the rest of them are. His companion, who's like lying on the ground, is like, "Shut up, you fool!"
I like
Osgod's
this one.
like,
Can I kill
I'm not getting killed for Wolfred or any of them lot.
You're not dying tonight. I'll let you have my word.
The human lying on the ground says, like the word of an elf is worth anything. Where were you while our people were suffering and dying?
Your opinion of elves is noted, little one. Listen, we don't have much of an opportunity to press forward tonight. We'd lose people if we try. Our best option is to regroup back at Liberty. We can take these people as resources. At the very least, they can lead us towards where their main operation is. If we're particularly cunning about it, we may be able to lure them into finding out where the orcs are encamped.
Well, that should be easy. Our friend Osgood here says that he's willing to tell us.
The other one's dying right now,
As you're having this discussion, you notice, all of you, that Osgod keeps sort of like glancing sort of sidelong in the direction of the well. He's trying to like do it, he's almost doing it unconsciously, so like, he doesn't really know he's doing it. It's like a nervous towel.
So we should leave now. We don't know how many more of these people are out there.
Who's got Splodunkin here? Oh wait, you seem to know something about Splodunkin.
Well, yes, it's a fine hobby. Caves and ropes, water and swimming. Why, were you thinking of taking it up?
Oh, not that personally. I think especially right now is probably not the best thing to do in my case.
Oh, no.
But maybe something's in that well that you don't want us to know about.
Yeah.
Whilst this conversation is going on, Valor, what are you doing while this discussion is taking place?
He's watching as they discuss the lives of these two humans, and now he's looking at the well. Possibly something is in there. But he's just casually observing.
Oh, you're a little guy. Can you get into little nooks and crannies? You might be in a well. Come over, you know.
Sure. I'll go down the well.
Or that's most likely where these humans are coming from.
What? Wait, I mean, I don't want to discount you. It does make for a great story. An underground smuggling ring that's literally and figuratively underground. But wouldn't it be easier for them just to walk here through the forest, like we did? I'm not saying don't go check the well. Oh, perhaps he does have more down there. Young Valor, would you care to inspect the well for us?
Yes,
As
Master.
you're saying this, and Valor's responding, yes, Master, Osgod says,
We don't move around down the well. That's just where we keep the And as he says that, the other fellow on the floor cuts him off and he's like, "Shut up, you fool!"
He's keeping himself alive. What a fool.
Well. Yes, please, go do some reconnaissance, Valor.
Valor will make his way over there and climb down.
Orin, do you want to help your companion? It might need someone to hold the rope or something. I can't do it. I'm at state.
I'll keep eyes on these two.
So, hearing that request, Orin looks over, and then he looks back at the fact that there are two relatively unarmed, one sort of helpless individual here, that he'd be leaving with two individuals who have both been like, let's kill them. No!
Only one else, technically.
I think... I do think that those mighty blows from the orc on my shield might have tired me for the evening. If it's acceptable, I'll stay here with you.
That's acceptable.
Yes, Master.
If you want to send that
Please take your rest. I will go down and find out what is down below.
Don't worry about Valor. He is the most capable young squire. A fine knight he'll be one day.
Oh, true. He did fell 2 orcs.
So, Valor, you move over to the well and you shine your lantern down into it. You can see the well appears to go down about maybe 60 feet before you can just sort of like just about make out, if you lean over and like hold your lantern in, you can make out what appears to be tepid, sort of stagnant water at the bottom of it. You can smell that odour of water that's just been stale and sat there for too long. You can see that there is a rope fastened to the lip of the well that hangs down. You can't really see any sign of where this fellow Osgod came from, unless he like climbed out of the water and up the rope. But if that was the case, his clothes would be soaking wet, and they're quite blatantly not.
He'll use the rope and bucket and whatnot, and he'll go down. He'll pull it down first instead of just flying down and crashing. So, then he'll climb down.
That's fine. I presume you're like keeping your lantern lit as you head down, Valor.
Yep, he'll put it into his teeth if he has to, so he has his hands free.
That's absolutely fine. You've got a rope, you're taking your time, you're quite a dexterous fellow, so no problems there. You clamp hold of the sort of lip of the lantern handle in your teeth, and you nimbly climb down this rope. It hangs down till it's about 5 foot above the water level. You are in what appears to be, it's about 10 foot by 10 foot. It's a stone well that appears to just head straight down into this stagnant water.
We'll search around for whatever these guys were trying to hide or whatnot using my lantern. I'll pull out the rapier too, with its sheath to poke around as well.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. Can you please make me an investigation roll? Okay, you look around and after a few moments of like tapping the stones with your rapier, sort of tapping around the walls of the well, you get to a section of it, and as you tap on it, it sounds hollower than the other bits of stone you've been tapping on.
I guess we'll search for traps and other things that may hurt me, and then if nothing I see, I will pop it open.
Okay, you search around, you don't find any traps. However, as you search around this sort of small sort of square of stones in the sort of deep down in the well, you can feel a hidden catch. And as you touch it, you're able to slide a small section of stones to one side, and you can see what appears to be a cave in front of you.
He's like, he's weighing his courage, finding the balance as he go continue, and then he will continue in. He'll hail up above and say, "Hey, there's a cave down here. If someone wants to join me."
Okay, so you guys hear Wallo saying there's a cave there?
Well, I don't think I'm in the condition, but Orange, definitely, you know what I mean, your turn.
No, it's fine. Oren, you watch over these two, I'll head down.
Okay, so we've just got Salo going down, is that correct?
Yeah, I'll give both Oren and Loku a quite pointed look and say, I gave these people my word they wouldn't die tonight. Don't make a liar of me. And then head down.
All in all, good luck, comrade.
Okay, you start climbing down the rope after your friend. Okay, just give me a second.
Be right back, guys.
That's fine. Okay, so just give me a second to put your tokens on the map. And then I'm going to shift you over. Now I'm sure you can probably all just see like a black map at the moment, so...
Yeah, it's all black at the minute.
Okay, just give me a minute.
Yep.
Okay, you should be able to see the map now.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. So, as the two of you descend down into this cave system, you can see, as you climb down, Solo, the concealed entrance that Valor has just sort of like moved beyond. He's like holding it open for you, and it seems to be on some sort of like spring mechanism, so it sort of springs back in if it's released. And you can see what appears to be a natural cave system which adjoins the well. You can see there appear to be rocky outcroppings jutting out from the sides, the floors of this area. There's also a few sort of boxes and crates littered around. You glance at them, but there doesn't appear to be anything of particular note in the ones that you can see sort of here-ish. Okay, so Valor,
No, I did not. Just give me a quick recap. I apologize. I had to rush up for a moment.
No problem at all. You've basically held open this spring-mounted concealed entrance for your friend Sallow who's climbed down. You can both see that there appears to be a natural cave system connected to the well. There's a few sort of boxes and crates smashed open here. Like, it looks like they've been used to serve as makeshift seating. You can see from where you are that there's nothing really like in them. You can, as you peer into the cave system, you can see that it's very irregularly spaced. It's a natural cavern, it's not man-made, although given that you can see like sort of like marks on the walls, etc., it looks as though this cave might have been used for quite some time, and all of you would have been aware that there were caves used by the resistance fighters when the Dark Orc Empire occupied this part of the continent of Shard. So it wouldn't surprise you if this is one of those like concealed caves that these smugglers or drug runners, whatever they are, have been using for their own foul purposes. Over to you two. It would be Valor going first.
Valor will just make his way quietly, the best he can, into the cave.
Okay, no problem. Feel free to move yourself in.
Again, he is looking at the floor, looking above, stalactites, traps, that kind of bit, something that's going to harm him as he goes.
Okay, as you're walking forward, you can see what appears to be a doorway here. It looks as though a number of like wooden planks, perhaps from crates or boxes like the ones you can see scattered on the ground in front of you, have basically been used to make a makeshift wooden door up here.
I'm gonna, I'll be hugging the wall to the left pretty much all the way up. And I'll gesture towards the door.
I will return. And he'll slink over.
So I'll head to this corner just here.
Okay, feel free to move yourself out of the wall, Valor, if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, he'll get out his tools, and if he needs to play with the door, he will.
Okay, as you're both near the door, can you both make me a perception roll, please?
Perception.
Okay, as you're both sort of like listening and being as quiet as you possibly can. Valor, as you move up to the door, like your tools at the ready, you can both hear what sound like muffled voices on the other side of the door. You also hear something that sounds like this, and you can make out the faint smell of tobacco from the other side of the door. Valor, with your sort of amazing roll, you listen for a while and you think you can make out 4 distinct voices, although you can't tell exactly what they're saying due to the thickness of the door.
We'll give him, he starts with his, like, thief chant, and thinking that this elf cannot understand it, he stops and he just go, get 4 fingers out, point to the door, point up, and put 2 fingers out, and then tap his blade and point up and at the door.
Sallow will he'll gesture back with 4 fingers, and then once he's got confirmation, shake his head and gesture back.
Valor will nod, and he'll wait for you to. He'll be the last one to leave, but he'll let you go first.
Yeah, so at that point we'll step away from the door here.
So are you guys heading back to the well and going back up, or?
I might actually. I think Sallow will get to about this point and then stop and then gesture towards the corridor over in this direction.
Okay.
And then, again, hugging close to the wall, start to move around down this way.
I'll follow, taking the other side.
Okay, so feel free to keep moving yourself, guys. I'll stop you if anything untoward happens.
Yeah.
Okay, at this point, can I ask you both to make a stealth roll, just to generally see how sort of like quiet you're being?
Oh.
Quick question, John, or DM Depth. I have expertise, which doubles a... Does it double the proficiency, or does it just double the actual overall?
I believe it doubles the proficiency.
So it'd be 4 instead of 2, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so 2 more to that, so... This would be +9. Oh, wrong button, wrong button.
Okay, you are like some sort of halfling ghost, Valor, as you move between these rocky outcroppings, not even disturbing the smallest stones on the floor of this cave. Sallow, you're not quite so stealthy. However, you're fairly far away from the doorway. You heard the voices, and there is a thick door which blocks a lot of the sound, so you don't think anyone's noticed you at the moment.
Yeah,
Feel free to keep on moving if you wish.
It'll probably have like hit something that made a noise, frozen in place, sworn very softly in Elvish, and then like just stopped to make sure nothing was coming, and then started to move back on again.
Sounds good. Well,
Absolutely fine.
Yep, step in and start taking a look at what's in this room.
Okay, as you both move into this chamber, you can see that there is a slight rise here, as the floor is slightly elevated, and situated on top of it here is what appears to be a large statue of some long-forgotten hero. If anyone wants to make a history roll to see if they can identify who it is, they're more than welcome to do so. You don't have to.
Oh, look, I'm curious. I have no idea. Some human, I guess.
Okay, so neither of you is really sure who this hero is. It must be incredibly ancient. It's a human, you can tell that. They're wearing armour, although not of a modern style, and they're holding what appears to be a javelin or a short spear. The statue appears to be made out of stone. It's quite badly chipped. It's obviously been neglected and been down here for quite some time.
Yeah, I'll lean close to Valor and very quietly say, well, gesture back towards the well.
Okay, before you move back, you can also see another wooden door here. Again, crudely made, but looking quite sturdy.
Valor will, I guess, will back out. He'll nod and back out with them, and once we return back, I guess he'll speak with you and say, "Please relate to my master that I will stand by here if you are all to rest above, and prepare yourselves for the oncoming encounter. I will keep watch and make sure that they do not flee."
Okay, if you guys are moving back, can you please make sure you move your tokens back to where you are?
Yep. Head back to the well. Probably best if we head back to Liberty or try to rest here. Oh.
I'm just going to stop you both there. As you're heading to the back from around the corner here, you'll hear the sound of a door opening, and as it opens, you hear a voice saying, "Where's that idiot Osgod? He's supposed to come in and I was supposed to relieve him from guard duty ages ago. I think he's fallen asleep on the job again. I don't give him a damn good kicking for it." then you hear a voice inside like, yeah, do that, yeah, always fall asleep on the job. Then you hear the sound of a door shut and footsteps from this direction.
Valor will do the shh. Do we see light, or did he sound orcish?
It's a human voice, and human voices that you've heard. And it's certainly the footfalls are too light to be an orc. So, Valor, it's over to you. It's your turn.
Okay, Valor will dim his torch. He sees where he needs to go, and he'll dim it. And he'll just kind of crawl.
Okay, that's fine.
Over to where he needs to be. Trying to ambush who's coming out.
Okay, make me a stealth roll, please. To see whether you can crawl behind these crates, etc., before this guy spots you.
Okay, I don't know how to increase it with my my expertise, but it'll be a 9. So, ooh, not very good. 9.
Okay, well let me make his perception roll. You might be looking. And you are looking. As you crawl behind these crates, you sort of like, you see this guy walk towards you and you're like, oh shit, he's going to spot me. Then just as you sort of like dive behind these crates, someone in the room behind him shouts something. He turns around away from you, opens the door and goes, yeah, whatever, keep it down. That gives you time to get behind the crates. He then shuts the door and turns back round again. But he hasn't spotted you. Okay, Sallow.
Sallow's going to make beeline right here, out of line of sight, as quietly as he can. So, do I need to make a stealth check or just move there?
And you will need to make a stealth check, yeah.
Yep.
I'm just going to keep the guy's existing roll so you easily beat that. You creep up like a shadow and doesn't seem to notice you. The guard walks down to like the other side of the crates that Valor is hiding under, though he doesn't appear to have spotted him yet. You see him looking around and he's like, Osgard! Osgard! What the damn hell's he got to now? Osgard! Oh, I'm gonna give him such a kicking when I see him.
Before he can move, I kind of want to leap over and I want to kill him, but I gotta do. That sneak attack is killing damage. I'll take him out if I can.
Well, either you'll go next, so feel free. I'm also going to say you're attacking with advantage because it's a surprise attack. He's not expecting it at all.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
14.
You have hit him. You have hit him. His AC is 12.
Or 12 points.
Okay. So you have done enough damage to take him out. So describe how that goes down.
Kind of like in the old Rambo movies, he kind of goes to creeps through the logs and the different stuff. And he pops them right next to him and jabs him into his kidneys because the guy's probably taller than he is. And as he comes down, he'll cover his mouth so he can't squirm or anything.
Indeed, as you leap out the stabbing, you see him open his mouth to cry out, and you just put your tiny hand over his mouth and dig your weapon in further, and all that escapes him is a... as you stab your weapon into his lung, and he just crumples, collapsing, and you lower him gently to the ground without a sound. Sallow.
I'll gesture to Valor to keep heading up. As I move, I'll move over to the human and basically look to pick him up and carry him over to behind the crates over here out of sight.
That's fine, I'll put him there. So he's hidden away. You know that if anyone does like a actual search, they will find him, but just a casual glance probably wouldn't reveal him, because you like move some of the planks on top of him, etc.
Yeah, that'll do for now, I think. And then once I'm satisfied he's relatively out of sight, I'll then start to move back to the well.
Okay, so while all of this has been going on, obviously, Loku, you're still up top with Orin and these two unfortunate humans, one of which is nearly dead and lying on the ground. The other is still holding his hands up and looking quite shaky. As God, what are you guys doing? Obviously, it's been like a couple of, at least probably like 10, 15 minutes while these guys have been down the well.
Yeah. Well, whilst they go, I want to like basically have a chat with Orin, and yeah. I know it might seem, with what I was talking about, that, you know what I mean, I'm a bit bloodthirsty, I want to kill these guys, but back in my tribe, if someone did something like what they did, they would generally be executed or at least thrown into the forest with no weapons or no survival and left in the wilderness, so I just don't understand why we have to keep them both alive. You know what I mean? These are worse than Black Oaks, they're corrupting the Alliance.
Yeah, I can understand what you're saying, but
We're just going to take resources.
the moment that a man or someone like yourself decides that they get the final say in whether someone lives or dies, and there's not law involved in it, you're not much better than those that you fight. It's a slippery slope. Where do you begin to draw the line?
But do you think their actions dictated that already, with what hideous things they've already done? That's already decided their fate, hasn't it?
I understand. But tell me this. In your tribe, if it had been a particularly hard season, little to no... did you farm? Not you particularly, but people in your tribe.
We have hunters and farmers.
So if it had been a particularly rough season and crops were old and runty like myself, and beasts hard to come by, if you had seen a young, brave warrior like yourself in your early years, and he was taking food to feed his family, would he have been executed? Would he have been cast out? Would you have turned him aside that quickly?
I can't connect what you're saying there to what these have done. I mean, this thing that they're putting out to the rest of them is not just taking a bit of food to feed their family, it's corrupting the core of that town and the Alliance. I mean,
I'm not excusing them. I'm not. And if I seem that I am young men, and I kind of gesture at the two prisoners, I'm not. Honestly, were it not for how it might go down in the storybooks, I'd as soon slit your throats as look at your faces. But we must keep ourselves from baser instincts. To make the connection plainer, if stealing food to save a family is okay, then is murdering to save a family okay? And then is trafficking in this drug to save a family okay? Where do we draw that line? This good man here, Osgood, I believe it was, said that he couldn't adventure or become a town guard, and that's why he finds himself in the play. Personally, I think he's just lazy.
And you believe it?
He's. Do I think the town guard would have taken him? No. Do I think that he could be an adventurer? Look at ourselves and look at him. Would you adventure alongside him? Of course not.
Of course not.
But does he still have a family to feed? Yes. I think he simply black way out and often illuminated in the darkness with wishes of riches and grandeur, but with none of the hard work proper every day. That's what I think. Weak mind, weak will. Someone took advantage of him. But would he not better serve the community as an example of what not to do? Perhaps digging ditches or breaking rocks or planting crops?
Oh, he's having the spike. He's having the spike. Not to do it again.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you over the whatever noise that was. What'd you say?
Would a head on a spike teach the rest of them not to do it? Just one of their heads on a spike.
A head on a spike simply teaches them that if you send a half-orc out to solve a problem, that dead people come home. And I don't know about you, but I don't want some small child of even a disastrous example of a human life such as this, thinking that you or I or any adventurers are worse for having killed their father. There's a reason there's a justice system, broken as it may be, but we'll take them back nonetheless. Perhaps they can serve a purpose. Osgood here seems to be willing to offer up information. Maybe he could be reformed. We could send him off to one of the churches, and I know that their rods and rulers and chores can bend even the strongest wills and break even the smallest arms, as he kind of rubs his.
I will relent that Osgood does seem to be a little bit more repentful, but the other one, though...
Oh, he's not repentful. He's just looking to save his ass. There's a difference. 300 years is a difference here. Were you my age, you'd see the difference.
I suppose I only know my village. I've not known anything else, so... Yeah, I'll take your... I'll take your story as well. I'll take your age and knowledge and wisdom.
It's lofty ideals of an old man.
It's something I'm having debates with myself about, I suppose. But it is something that I'm considering.
I can understand debating yourself. There do seem to be two individuals trapped in that rather large, muscular body of yours. I believe for the first time tonight we saw the other one come out momentarily.
Yeah,
and for good reasons.
I try to keep him back as long as possible, but he is needed. Just like, unfortunately, sometimes the hard decisions are needed in the stand Orin.
Yes.
And we can't always have glorious tales where nothing untoward happens.
No. Glorious tales. Something untoward always happens. I cannot think of a tale worth repeating that a hero was not injured or killed, that wars were not fought. And don't get me wrong, these knobby fingers and addled brain do understand that when it comes to war or adventures, that there will be people who suffer and lose, but if these men truly have families, I don't want to be the reason that their father doesn't come home.
No, they'll be that reason.
They will be. But not by our place.
Okay.
At this point, I'm just going to interrupt to say Valor and Sallow, are both of you coming up out of the well now?
Yes.
Okay, so at this point of the conversation, the two of you have climbed back up out of the well, so I'll move the map back to the village map. You can hear the last sort of like few sentences of the conversation between Orin and Loku as they're sort of like discussing and debating justice and whether Osgood can be reformed or not.
I also think in this time we've had Osgood sit down, not necessarily make him more comfortable, but it's harder to stand up and run, and then it's just a turn and run.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. He's pretty much knows that he's not at your mercy now, so if you don't sit down, he'll sit down. You can also see that the other man who was lying on the ground sort of quite badly wounded appears to have passed out. Again, he's sort of fading out of consciousness because of his wounds.
Right,
yeah, we'll take back to you guys. What have you found, guys?
substantially more of them.
There's people down there.
Yeah, at least 4 more. Probably more than that. Well, 3 more. We killed 1.
What do you reckon? We need to go down there now and sort them out?
No, I don't think we're in a state to do it.
No, that's fair.
Um,
I would if you guys would, but yeah.
No, these two gesturing at the Osgood and the other human, there'll be a liability if we try and go any further. Besides which, it's a matter of time before they discover the one that we found on the way down there. I think we should go head back to Liberty, share what we found, and then we can head back later and give the place a thorough search.
In your exploration, do you think it'd be possible to block off that entrance to the cave you found there, Valor?
It is possible. It's just a hidden door. But they could leave from other exits if those rooms have exits. We did not enter the two rooms we found due to people being behind them.
No. I'm sure that they do, in fact, have other exits, but perhaps sealing off an exit that we know to be close to Liberty would be a way to help slow down the spread of this
I like that idea.
It is possible, Master.
It's not something I know how to do, but it sounds good.
How would you recommend this?
A cave-in.
DM Death, looking at the well from this distance and these ruins and running my fingers across the mortar of the stone I'm sitting on, assuming the construction is built the same, are we suited to collapse the top of this well at the moment, or do I think that would be beyond what we could accomplish quickly?
You think you could certainly collapse the top of the well, and there is an awful lot of rubble lined around that you could feasibly throw down there as well. The main issue isn't so much can you do it, it's the fact that it's going to be very noisy while you're doing it, so whoever's down there is going to hear that it's going on. So it'd just be down to the fact of could you guys between you do it quickly enough before they could get out and up the well. You're not entirely sure. It depends on how fast they are, how quick you guys are at getting the rubble and collapsing the well. There's a number of different factors, some of which you may not be able to take into account. It's possible, but it's not a sure thing.
I've literally got at least one more rage in me where I could help quite easily. But then we'd have to get back and I'd have to rest after that straight away. But it is possible that I can definitely help smash that down quickly.
And Valo, do you think you could use your knightly skills to disable that door you found? Perhaps jam it of sorts before we started about hucking rubble down it?
Yes, Master, I could delay it if you wish. We should talk to him about the guard watches and how long it'll be for the next guard. And is there a way out from those two rooms?
Well, you heard the questions, Osgood.
Yeah, Osgood.
He looks at you, and as Locus makes his implied threat, he stammers.
No. The well's the only way out. We change guard posts every few hours. I was due to be relieved shortly before I came up the well, but I heard all the noise up here, so I came to investigate, and that's when. And he sort of looks around at Salah, and you can see like terror in his eyes. And that's when you caught me.
Your relief will not be relieving you, I am afraid.
There's only one way in there.
If there's only one way in, we shouldn't seal it.
Why not?
Because
we should trap it and kill those that are there.
Yeah, we have no means of getting back in.
Yeah, but do we need anything in there? It's all that drug stuff, isn't it? Trapping it, burying it would be perfectly reasonable.
My master promised to rid this, so we must make sure the job is done.
I did make mention of removing the blight of the dark shards. I didn't realize it'd become so blasphemously easily distributed, but...
How about this? How about we rest here and take them as they come up for their relief? You would get rest and healed. I will take watch. It is up to you, Master.
As you're saying this, you notice that Osgood he still keeps glancing at that pouch that you took from him, Owen, and you can see he's sweating now quite profusely. He's getting a little bit sort of like nervous. He keeps like scratching himself a little bit, and he licks his lips, and he's like,
Look. If we're going to be staying here, look, I just need a little bit to see me through to steady my nerves.
No. Removal from this foul substance will do you good. Already I can see you changing, sweating the evil right out of you.
He sort of like, he gets a bit louder and he's like, you don't understand what it's like. How do you think the Shadowfangs got me to work for them in the first place?
Poor life choices.
Free your weak mind.
You don't understand. All you've got to do is take the dust once or twice. It slipped into food or a drink or something, and it's a craving that just consumes your entire being. And as he's saying this, he's like scratching. You can see like where he's scratching his arms with his fingernails. He's actually scratching himself so hard that he's like drawn blood in a couple of places. He's getting like progressively more agitated as time's going on.
I don't know. Sala, what was your reasoning for not just caving this in and being done?
The trouble is, there are two options here. Either Osgood's lying about there being other entrances, or isn't aware of them, in which case sealing this entrance does very little. Or this is the only one, in which case we won't be able to go back in.
But what's in there that we need?
Part of the trouble is that we don't know. We didn't get the area was far too risky for us to have a proper search through. I couldn't tell you what's in there.
But allow me to ask you to ponder this. Let's say that we take Osgood here and this unconscious man back to Liberty for incarceration, questioning, execution, whatever it may be.
Okay.
And we rest and we return. Would the individuals below not have come out, seen the slain orcs, and perhaps even just abandoned this area after cleaning out whatever supplies and remuneration they have down there?
It's reasonable. We can pose these two.
Osgood nods and he butts in and he says,
Yeah, it's standard practice. If one of our drop-off points is discovered, we abandon it and find another.
So, at this point, if we were to... that's devious, and I don't know if I wish to go down that route. But it does make for a good story. If you were to take one of Osgood's knives back down with you and leave it where you had disabled the other fellow, and then Osgood and his companion here were to disappear, it might seem that they were guilty of it, but still we would lose this location. Everything would be gone.
Not necessarily. If they're under the impression that Osgood's stepped his way out and fled, there's no indication they suspect this site has been compromised.
But what happened to the other two orcs? What would they think?
Yes, unfortunately, neither Osgood or his companion here are carrying a bow, and that one there, thanks to the eagle-eye aim of young Valor over there, is missing an eye.
There's no.
They are orcs. We can pose them in such a way as to suggest they killed each other.
Well, neither of the orcs has a bow either, and I kind of point at myself and Laku here. As we both know, those axes make quite large wounds compared to the size of that arrow.
Yes, they do. So, if one were to strike the area with one of their axes,
Ugh. I don't know. Defacing the dead.
And the only problem there is we have to trust that they'll do what we think they'll do, and I don't trust. I think
Yes. Perhaps we just light the orc bodies on fire and throw them down the well. Orcs burn, don't they?
it would certainly send a message, but they'd flee.
Oh, the only one way to flee apparently, and it's up the well. I mean, we could stand around the well, let them come out. They can't come out all together charging.
This is true, but they may be better supplied there than we are up here. And they aren't injured, and we are, and my good fellow, you need to see a surgeon. Or a priest.
That's true. Oh, yeah.
So what's your plan?
Yes, what is our plan?
Everything
Standing
we choose
around
is
here
risky,
inactive.
everything we choose is risky, but setting up the story that the orcs killed one another over whatever it is orcs do. Bringing Osgood as an escapee, and then leaving this place, resting up, and returning back seems like our best plan to catch these people before they scurry into the night.
Perhaps.
My only problem with that option is what Valor says, and Orin did say we would get rid of this blight. And if we go back with that, that's not doing what we said we were going to do.
Well, the other problem is if the individuals are from Liberty and the surrounding areas, they seem to be, then they know of Osgood's family. And were he to be framed a thief, they might seek vengeance on his family, and that puts us kind of in a tough situation.
That is a risk.
Yes,
if we let these people escape, it'll do much more harm than we'll ever inflict.
Which brings me back to the idea of Valor goes down and jams the door, and we cave in the well. Worst case scenario, we have to bring a few weak-minded, strong-backed individuals out here and excavate it. I'm sure there's some dwarves somewhere nearby.
That's true. I mean, if we've got a problem with them starving to death down there, that would be, you know what I mean, stopped by us coming back here tomorrow with some people to do excavations things.
We're not intending to leave this place long enough for that to be an issue.
No. A night, a day perhaps, yes. I say we jam the door and throw some rocks down there and perhaps lay some of these, and he'll foot a large beam that might have been used for a rafter, and perhaps lay some of these rafters across the top. After all, it's not an easy climb, and they would have no purchase to try and push up on the rafters.
All right. Your plan is merit.
Yeah, I think that's the best bet. Stop them getting out of it.
Alright, so I think...
So block it the well?
Yeah, I think DM Death that the plan then would be once Clay Valor is back, to have him try and jam the door mechanism, throw some rubble down it, and then lay some of these heavy beams across the top of the well in such a way that someone would not be able to push them off easily.
Okay, that sounds like a plan. So, Valor, I'm open to suggestions with regards to what role you would like to make to enact this plan. I can't hear you at the minute, you're muted.
He's talking to someone in his office.
Alright, okay, that's fine.
Back.
Okay, Valor, the others have suggested that they're going to get you to jam the secret door in the well and then put some sort of rubble and planks, etc. on the top of the well to make it more difficult for people to get out. I'm open to suggestions as to what sort of role you think may be applicable for this scenario.
Valor agrees. They'll head down. They're going to take care of as they ask, but what he will not say to them, especially to his master, since his master is so good-hearted and everything else, he'll set some tripwires and some other things to kind of screw them up a little bit. So by the time we deal with them, by the time they make it to that door, they will be hurt. Again, balancing the scales. We're saving these two, killed 3. So he's kind of got to balance those scales out on what we're doing. So yeah, he'll go down there and he can. I've got some spikes that I can put in the secret area, and I've got some lines I can use as strip lines inside.
Okay, since it's trapping, I would suggest perhaps that may be a survival role. I'm open to suggestions for other roles that I think may be applicable.
So with a rogue in 5e, he automatically gains proficiency in Thieves' Tools, and then so he would take the Thieves' Tool roll +2, but he would be able to negotiate with you as a storyteller as to what stat he wanted to use. So, if he was trying to jam the door with an iron pick, maybe it's strength, or with his wires and stuff, it might be wisdom for cunning, or if he was, trying to disable the locking mechanism, maybe it's dex. So whatever he would feel.
Okay, thank you very much. So, Valor, what are you suggesting as the stat you'd like to use, and how is it coming into play?
So, your discussion was it kicks in towards the inside and then slides out, or does it kick towards the outside and slide out?
It basically, you pull it outwards and it slides across, so when you're in the well, you pull it towards you and then slide it across.
If I've got enough to jam it so it won't even slide out, it'll be just stuck, so I can use 4 spikes to keep it there as they kind of pull it open or try to push it out and pull it open. It's going to be weighed against itself, so it won't be able to be opened. As far as a stat, is that probably wisdom? Trying to be wise and where I place it?
The right point. Yeah, that's absolutely fine, so make your roll.
Yeah.
With your, obviously, your proficiency bonus. Your tools.
Okay, just it would be wisdom. So +2 to this, then, huh?
Yep.
Thank you so much. Okay. I gotta bring up my stuff. I don't see nothing. Okay. Did it work? 15?
Yeah, okay. Okay, so you spend some time spiking the
well, actually, it would be 17 because it doesn't have the tool proficiency on it.
Okay, that's fine. So you spend some time spiking them, blocking the top of the well. As you stand back, having done it fairly quickly and as quietly as you possibly can, you think you've done a pretty reasonable job. It's going to take a fair bit of work to unjam the secret entrance. Then someone's going to climb to the top and sort of like hack or force their way through a few layers of planks that you've put rocks on top to weigh down. It's going to be quite difficult for someone to get out of there.
Awesome.
The rest of you can all see that Valor's done a very, very proficient and very good job of this.
And then as he's made his way up, this is kind of a rope on a bucket, or is this just a dry rope that they climb up and down?
It's just a rope.
He's going to oil it up with his oil flask.
Nice.
Just to kind of set that if we need to. Other than that, are we waiting here, going back to town? Should we have a scout here? Master, how would you like to do this?
I don't want to speak for everyone, but I think that all of us could use a good rest. And leaving someone here just seems to leave them in the darkness to be beset upon by whatever other beasts may roam this direction. I say, let us throw some more planks and rocks on the top and be off back towards town. What say you, Loku? Salo?
That sounds like a reasonable idea to me. I wouldn't want to leave anybody here on their own, especially this time.
I don't need much in the way of sleep, but...
One of the benefits of being an elf, yes. That reminds me of a story he starts in on as he begins collecting his few things and perhaps even walking next to Osgood. Because, I mean, if nothing, Osgood's a captive audience at the moment. Like, legitimately. So.
Yeah. Okay, so as you all start walking back towards Liberty, and Orin's voice fades into the distance recounting this tale, the end credits begin to roll, and we fade away to blackness with Orin's voice sort of continuing for just a few moments after the credits begin to roll. And that is where we are going to end the session for this evening, gentlemen. So, thank you very much for playing. I will tell you all that since you'll be presumably getting at least 8 hours sleep when you get back to Liberty, you can all put your hit points back up to their previous totals. You can do that by just going into your character sheets. And I will tell you all that you all have gained 100 XP.
Sweet.
So that's 12 and XP 100. Yeah.
So again, thank you all very much for playing, guys. I hope you enjoyed the session. And I'm quite happy to chat for a little bit afterwards, but for now I'm just going to end the recording and say thank you to anyone who's watching this, either now or in the future. We hope you'll join us for the next session, where our heroes will return to the scene of the crime, as it were. Will Osgood ever be recuperated? Will they stop the dust dealers? Will they face yet more of these horrendous dark orcs? You'll have to join us next session to find out. Take care.